What's up guys, Justin here with KrashFab. Wanted to talk to you guys about this roll cage we built today. So this is your JKU, anywhere from the years of 2007 I think to 2017 or 18, I can't remember. And so this is going to be a cage kit we're hopefully going to be doing a lot more of. So this is the first real iteration of my cage that we're going to be starting to do a lot more of. Got a few more of them in line, so excited to get this out on the market and show you guys what we came up with that's a little bit different than what's currently available. So with this cage, all 2-inch DOM, 120 wall, and I won't do a cage without TIG welding the whole cage. I'm okay with, I MIG weld the plates to the actual body and the connection points, but the whole cage is all TIG welded, and that's the only way we'll do it here at KrashFab. So wanted to show you guys some of that stuff and show you guys some of the key points that kind of set this cage different than what's currently out there. So what's kind of different is we have a full X brace in the back, and that allows for just a lot of support and safety for the passengers and the riders. On this particular unit, we didn't do a cage, an X brace behind the driver and passenger, mainly just because it makes it so uncomfortable to have anybody in the back seat. So if you've got anybody in the back seat at all, having that X brace, it's right in your knees, and it's like the most uncomfortable experience you could want to be in. It's even just driving on the road, it's horrible. So we didn't go with that on this, and the only reason I would want to do that is if you were legitimately going to be racing or doing some kind of high-speed stuff on a regular basis where you really need that extra protection. Also, something we do a little different is it's got a full X'd out roof on it. So it's got a lot of lateral support from the cage twisting and flexing. So with the full X in the back and the full top all X braced, it's got a huge amount of rigidity to it. So the other way that we're different than any other cage in the market is the cage is fully welded to the body of the Jeep itself. It's not easy to do that. So we have these cool cage plates that tie everything to the floor, and everything gets full welded to the floor itself. These bodies are so thin on these Jeeps that it's a difficult weld to do. But if you think about how difficult it is to weld to that thin material, how strong is a bolt? When you have a couple bolts going to that thin material, how easy is it just to rip that out? Versus at least you've got a full weld covering, at least 30 square inches, sometimes more. That surface area is a lot more to try to pull out, so more safer for the passengers. These back plates are pretty cool, and the way we did it is this is where your factory cage point would have normally come down. So I tied into that and covered that all up, and everything's welded to that. If you look at the body strength itself, there's actually a lot of strength in the body here where the factory cage tie-in is. So I wouldn't want to leave that without attaching to it. I've seen some cage kits that are just attached back here, and I don't think that it's as strong. This sheet metal that's back here is like the thinnest metal that's on the Jeep. So attaching to this forward point is a lot stronger. So we do that, full welded, and then full welded to that. So then this cage ends up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 points of contact. That's a pretty significant amount of points of contact. That's what you'd find in a lot of higher end spec cages for different racing organizations. So pretty confident about that. We did some cool stuff in the back here. So it actually ties into the factory bolt plates where your factory seats bolt in. There's a really nice rib that's underneath here that's really strong in the body. So we're right on top of that. It ties into the actual bolts that go to the seat. So we're tied into 2 of those bolts, plus all welded to the stronger point in the body. The point on top here, I wouldn't say is like the strongest point in the world, but it's still an extra point of contact. It's still good. It's got some extra shear to it in a different direction, which creates some lateral support. Then I also tied into this top part of the body here. It's got some bolts that go through that. So it's really well tied together. So this back section of cage is honestly the strongest part of the cage. It's got so many good points of contact. with so many braces and crosses that it's super stout. So we'll move towards the front a little bit here and show you guys what we did up here. So the cage, I always make sure in 45, you know, my right angle, my 90 degrees, those are always, you know, try to put a 45 in there. I would do one here, but with the B-pillar, it's very difficult to make that all work, so we leave that one out. You know, obviously this is what you consider as a sport cage. You know, the customer is not racing with it. It doesn't need to be, you know, with the bars for going, you know, for lateral impacts for racing spec, but it's still built to a racing spec other than that. So all the cage plates that are on this Jeep meet the standard of most sanctioning bodies. So NHRA, NASA, you know, SCCA, King of the Hammers, you know, any of those big sanctioning bodies, the cage plates will meet those to those racing standards. So same thing here, everything's tied in super nice. We also make a nice tie-in that ties this upper B-pillar in, and that allows this whole structure to like not sway and move, which is super important. So that's a good tie-in. And then, like I said on this cage, we just did the harness bar, and that way you've got a good connection point for the harnesses, and you've got nice comfortable place for the passengers to ride. You know, I'm 6'2", and I'm not a small person, and I can sit back here and I'm very comfortable. I could go for a trail ride and it would be a good time, you know. So that's why we did it this way. Moving on forward a little bit, we've got the front of this vehicle. So this is kind of the really different part about this cage versus everything else. So this A-pillar bar goes through the dash and goes straight down all the way to the floor. You won't see that in any other cage kit on the market, so we're pretty excited about that. Same thing, big old standard 3/16 floor plate, and I feel like this is without a doubt the strongest way to do an A-pillar. I don't doubt that other methods are going to do their job. I've seen them work, but if you were to look at any sanctioning body as far as the A-pillar and what it has to meet, it has to go from the top to the bottom and one solid piece. So you can't have any plates here, any of that stuff. And then ultimately for the driver, you know, you're always going to have a driver in the vehicle. Whether you have other passengers in the vehicle, you know, that may or may not be, but the driver is always going to be there. So this spot needs to be safe. So that's what we did here. These gusset tubes and also grab handle are all 1¼ 120 wall DOM, as well as the V-bar in the dash, 1¼ 120 wall DOM. So everything's super stout. I've seen some other manufacturers using what they call electric seam welded tubing, where it's just not nearly as strong and it wouldn't meet any sanctioning body's race spec as a gusset. So we step it up on that stuff too. I think that's kind of the main cool points of this cage. Obviously, I put a nice little plate here to cover the dash up where we cut through it, and then you can, if we still had the factory plastics on here, you could probably still run them. I didn't verify that because I don't have them. They were already missing on this vehicle, so we made these nice little plates to cover that. Moving on, the other stuff that we did on this Jeep is that we did the B-pillar chop, or I had it done at a paint shop that I use a lot of work with. So they did the B-pillar chop and made all the tie-in points up here. That looks really nice, and in the summertime, you know, you can take this upper B-pillar off and you've got an open top Jeep and it's just a smooth ride. Also had the doors color matched and did a couple other little things on the Jeep, and we put these PRP seats in it for them. New harnesses, I still got to put the backs in, but she's going to be a really nice, safe Jeep to go riding with your family in and have a good weekend in, and know that, you know, in the event of something terrible happening, you've got some great protection around you and your family to make sure you guys can get back home and, you know, be able to do it again someday. So that's the most important thing, is just, you know, doing the best you can to be safe out there. So I think that's a wrap on this thing. Probably throw a little B-roll at you guys and let you guys check out some of the cool points on this, and let us know if we can help you guys out down the road. As of the date of this video, I do not have these cages ready for sale, so don't call me saying, hey, I want to order a cage kit. I'm not ready yet. I'm working on it, and still got to get some vendors set up. And honestly, right now, as of the date of this video, COVID has put a huge hurt on DOM tubing, and it is very difficult to get, even for companies that, buy, hundreds of thousands of feet of it. They're having a very hard time getting it. So for little guys like me, it's not the easiest thing to get right now. So we're gonna do what we can, see if we can get some vendors set up and have these all laser cut and bent and ready for a kit form, so that I can actually sell them and get them out to you guys. So obviously, watch the social media and the website and stuff like that. And as soon as I can get something ready, it'll be up on there. That's all I got for now. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and hopefully got you guys' interest going on a pretty badass cage kit for your JKUs.